Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, so Geminis, let's get into this. We're going to take a quick peek at whatever the energy of the full moon has brought in for Gemini, okay? Well, I guess I should say it this way. The full moon can kind of like generate the energies from our subconscious and bring them to the forefront. They can be the things that we want to let go over, the stuff that we didn't know was, festering under the surface, and, things sometimes come to the forefront of our mind. So with that in mind, we'll take a look. And we have got a Six of Cups. So hi, Nabila. Great to see you. With the Six of Cups, we may very well have a character who's got the energy of like recognizing, hey, in my mind, there's a place that I visit and I remember you there. This is a deja vu moment, or this is a soulmate. This is thinking back to a soulmate. This can be nostalgia. So this full moon is bringing up memories. Queen of Swords, Knight of Pentacles. This is possibly memories that are resurfacing because some things come back around. Now, we don't see anything negative here, but I'm wondering if, here's Gemini, right, as the Queen of Swords. I'm wondering if Gemini is like, I wonder if I'm suddenly thinking about this person because they're headed back into my world, or they moved back to my town. I haven't talked to them in so long. Somebody is clearly, by the way, whomever this is could be a masculine. They may drive a motorcycle. We do have Weeping Willow here, which always makes me think of that song by Coco Rosie. I think it's called Werewolf. But Weeping Willow, won't you wallow louder, searching for my father's power? I'ma shake you off, go get up on that horse, then ride into the sunset, look back with no remorse. It's kind of like a song about, like troubled family and the conflicts that exist within a family, and, sometimes the hurts that are left behind and the scars that we accrue throughout our lifetime. So somebody could have had this masculine could have had a significant, like, difficult life, but he's been, trying to shake it off. I would say Gemini maybe understands this person quite well. That could be why they're soulmates. I would say very specifically that this person is near and dear still in Gemini's heart. We have some old photographs. We have something about a clock. They may have met each other and spent quite a bit of time together. This could be old friends more so than lovers, or maybe they were lovers, but somebody was still struggling with like leftover traumas, but it's like I never stopped caring about that person. I think Gemini cares very much about this person no matter what. Hi, Clearly Wise. We got an Ace of Swords. We got the Ten of Coins. Oh man, if this is Gemini saying during this full moon, I'm thinking a lot about someone, and I'm wondering if it's because at some point I know I'll meet them again. And bring it on, universe. The truth is, honestly, they're really important to me. Honestly, and it maybe not right now, but at some point I could actually see me being really successful with them. I feel like they're meant to be in my life. I don't know if this is Gemini saying, I know that they are my long-term partner that I'll be with someday, or if this Gemini saying, I know that they're like a part of my soul group. Either way, we have a really positive and I'll say really kind energy on Gemini's part, but it's also like the truth of it is this story is not over. That's how I would look at this. The truth of it is I could still see us successful together at some point, in some time, in some space. It's going to be me and them. Can we change decks for a moment and say, since Gemini seems to be really like feeling connected to this particular person, can we go ahead and say, how is this full moon impacting, we'll say this masculine? Nine of Cups, they're actually doing a heck of a lot better. They could be quite happy right now. They could be feeling really good about themselves and their life. Okay, hang on. We have a Three of Swords still. That Nine of Cups, I could interpret a different route now and say this is somebody who may use a coping mechanism, overindulgence, in order to cope with Three of Swords. So maybe they aren't yet healed. Why is the Three of Swords still there for them? Girl of Cups, Hanged Man sideways. Okay, they are either recognizing some things about themselves right now. The Hanged Man being sideways means I am seeing things in a different way and I do know the truth of it. Maybe they've had like a tendency to overdrink in order to cope with past traumas. And they're like, I know that that's what I actually do. I know that. And I also know that I don't need this to be the way I handle things. I'm aware that this is a coping mechanism that maybe is not in my best interest. The Girl of Cups would be like the Page of Cups. Our pages are our messengers. They're the first little step towards something. This is an emotional, it's actually emotional happiness. So I think that they already have an idea of I could be happier than I am right now, not synthetically happy, but genuinely happy. And I'm starting to see a way out of this. I'm starting to see that I could get genuinely happy. And it could be that pursuing love, pursuing something more tangible instead of pursuing coping mechanisms might be something they're getting more inclined to say, yeah, maybe I should do that instead. Maybe I and it even could be only because we see, oak tree and the acorns, that old saying, sometimes the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree or the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It could be like, damn, I'm falling into a pattern where I'm going to become my, you know, mother or father or my tragic, childhood, whatever traumas I accrued in my life. I'm becoming that if I don't make conscious change to be a more like loving person or choose healthier coping mechanisms. I just feel like they're on the cusp of change as it turns out. This is a much better energy for this character to be recognizing some of this. Maybe they're starting to have some acknowledgement that, hiding pain through indulgent behaviors is actually not going to make anything go away, but isn't that the first step to realizing that I would like to do things different? With the Hanged Man sideways, I think that they're coming around to this idea. They're not saying, well, I'm not ready to change yet. I think they're saying, maybe I could change. Boy of Wands. This is the Knight of Wands. Okay, so it's like their thoughts go back and forth. This person could be very artistic. They could be a musician. They could be somebody who has like a lot of emotion. And if they found a healthier outlet for it, that might also be wonderful for them. But it's kind of like their mind is going back and forth. Like, could I really make some change? Is that possible? So this full moon is very powerful for them because they're considering doing things better, different, channeling their energy, even their hurts and their wounds, into something very beautiful. I mean, some of the best songs out there that we've ever heard come from broken hearts, come from artists who's like, that's why we resonate so much with certain songs and melodies, because like, oh my God, it's like they spoke what my heart has felt before. And I'm just wondering if he's not going to be finding, especially during this full moon, contemplating finding a new way to do things. Starting to look pretty good. Now we've got the Knight of Cups. Starting to feel more and more like this person is having a positive turn of mind. It doesn't mean this will be an instant like, oh, I'm all healed, I'm all better now, just because I've had this thought. Then the thought has to be put into action. But our knights are action takers. It could be, maybe that's even why Gemini is thinking about this person so heavily right now. Maybe Gemini is still energetically connected since they are a soulmate. And Gemini is like, I feel them moving forward. I thought it was that they're possibly headed toward Gemini, but it's more like Gemini is picking up on the fact that they're choosing to move forward with their own growth, their own, finding greater health in their life, finding a better way to handle things. And ultimately, the more they choose healthier outlets, this could be the path that they're on is going to wind them back into Gemini's life. And it just feels like Gemini is saying, that'd be great if they, I'm hearing that they'll be coming around the mountain when they come. and sure enough, we have this mountain and Gemini like lives in the mountain like a hobbit hole. Maybe somebody's in New Zealand. Isn't that where they built, the Shire for the film? But it could just be that it's like, I know that they're coming full circle. I've always believed that they could get control of whatever it is they needed to, but I know it was a journey that they had to take. I can't take it for them. So I've given them, just the loving support, even from a distance, because this really feels like somebody who Gemini has not talked to in a while. That's why there's a lot of memories here. But Gemini's always rooting for this person. He's always sending this person love, always sending this person the belief that I know you can do it. And I know that when you do it, and I know that you will, that's when I get to see you again. You're coming around the mountain. I just know it. This really looks like some beautiful progress is starting to be made in this person's life. Let me just turn to the universe right now and say, universe, what is the best message right now on this? We have a 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands is where we fight for something, we practice something, we mess up, we go back to the drawing board, we test ourselves. It can be the way that we analyze things. It can be testing hypotheses. So let's say this is practice. This is a card of practice. The idea has been lit that I want to try doing this. The universe is saying, Gemini, don't get too set on the outcome, because keep in mind, if this person has to overcome something like, let's say it's too much drinking in order to, that's what they've been doing, and that's what they have to break away from, in addition to the source of what caused it in the first place, which is trauma. It's a lot for them to have to deal with. They want to try moving their life forward, and they want to address some things, but again, there can be trial and error. They can be getting on the wagon, falling back off the wagon. This is not really something that probably Gemini can count on. Oh, they're coming around the mountain and they're going to land right on my front door and it's going to be great. This is just more realistic and looking at it as, you know what, I'll always cheer for them. I know that they can do this, but it could be hard for them. With the Ace of Wands in the reverse, it really does say for Gemini maybe to not get too focused on a singular desire for this person to get themselves ready to be back in Gemini's world, only because that could add unnecessary energy or pressure to something that clearly is going to be a process, and it's going to have stops and starts. It almost feels like, how they always say a watched pot never boils. If you've ever made pasta, if you put that pot on your stovetop and you turn it on to high and you stand there and you go, when's it going to boil? It will take an eternity. Same thing. Don't make this person's journey the focal point of Gemini's like, okay, I'm looking at my watch. When are they coming around the mountain? I'm sure that they're going to get on top of stuff and then they're going to be back in my life. I'm going to be happy. Maybe this isn't going to happen for 40 years. Maybe this happens in the next lifetime, or maybe this happens in 10 days. The bottom line is, don't let that become a singular focus, is I think the gentle encouragement here for Gemini. Optimal, great to see you, love. Thank you for being here. We have a Queen of Wands. It says, stay warm, stay loving, keep that little light on, meaning if Gemini, let's say Gemini prays, for example, keep them in one's prayers. Say, whatever the routine of the prayer is at night, and I wish, health and well-being for everyone. And in particular, please give support to those most in need, including this person. It's like, say their name with love, wish them the best, send good vibrations to them, and always send out the idea that, and if it's ever meant to be, they're healthy, they're well, and they would like to return, let them know that the light is still on, that they, that I feel warmly toward them. But it doesn't mean that Gemini needs to call and text them affirmations and stuff like that. I mean, maybe Gemini is going to do that, but this just kind of says we keep our heart light on for someone, and we may even think their name and be, projecting positivity, but not putting pressure on someone and making their journey our focus, if that makes sense. Holding somebody in our heart, keeping a light on, but giving them the respect that we would want to have also. Nothing's worse than somebody standing over there asking you, so how'd you do? Have you done this yet? Some people, like if you sign up for I want an accountability partner at the gym, then fine. If you're paying a personal trainer, they're going to be like, all right, how many reps did you do? How did you do this week? That's fine. But if somebody unsolicited comes up and they start pressuring you, it could just make you feel like crap if you stop and start and it's a struggle. And it's like, don't check up on me. Just give me the respect to do what I need to do at whatever pace I need to go at. It's okay for Gemini to like project love at them, but maybe not be stepping across the line and making this person's journey the focal point of Gemini's life. Even though I think that Gemini just holds that space and says, I already know that if, when, how it's meant to be, I already know they're coming back, and I will always project nothing but good at them because I know what a great person they are. And maybe once in a while, once a year or something, Gemini sends a message of love, birthday message or whatever it is. Just be like, I don't think I ever forget you or ever don't keep you in my thoughts, my prayer, my heart. Door's always open. Maybe Gemini does that. But I don't think it's like, let me check up on your progress kind of thing. And I think that's such a freeing thing. It's like giving the best of support and the best of love with no expectations or demands, which I think is kind of maybe the best way to describe what love really is. I love you, I support you, and I want the best for you, but I also know you have to do what you have to do. Just know I believe in you. That's about it. That's maybe as far as anybody can go to like fixing someone. And it's not Gemini's job, but it just looks so possible that good things are still on the horizon. But it's nice for Gemini to be able to step back. The Ten of Swords is here. At some point, this person will absolutely be free of the hurt and the pain and the things that have either traumatized them or bogged them down. At some point, this absolutely, it's a cycle that will close. And it could be that cycle is closing not in the not too distant future for them. And they may come back around the mountain and come into Gemini's life fairly soon. But a 10 of Swords means it has to be complete. They can't come in half done. They have to come in totally done. So until that time, right now, all Gemini can do is project vibes, good vibes to them. Is there a message just for Gemini in this? Since that was, pretty heavily slanted toward them, although admittedly, these two seem to be soulmates that have an interwoven life story. So of course it would make sense. There's our Gemini. We have lovers. The lovers card, and this is very special. This is two, incredibly, well, in this case, mythical creatures. We have like Pan kissing a mermaid. So we have very powerful mythical creatures. And it says, I think Gemini's love story is not going to go like everybody else's love story, but it's going to be just as fulfilling, and it's going to be just right for Gemini. Even the time that Gemini spends apart from this person, but supports this person in their heart, even that might suit Gemini just fine, because maybe Gemini has a bunch of stuff to go do. If they're the mermaid swimming away in the water, maybe Gemini's got lots of other stuff to keep them busy right now. And so this romance, this love, this wouldn't suit just anybody, but Gemini is not just anybody. Gemini is mythical and special and unique in their own right. So whatever this love story is that works for Gemini, it won't be one that goes by anybody else's, like what we see in the movies won't be how it works for Gemini. Gemini's love story and life story will be very special, very tailored just for them. And because Gemini is the twins, it could also have a duality to it, where Gemini may have like two great loves in their lifetime, both of which could be incredibly special and incredibly uniquely different because they will match the two different halves of Gemini themselves. But I feel like this might be the second relationship of their life that is, going to come to fruition a little bit later on. And maybe that's why Gemini said right from the beginning, someday, somehow, some way, I'm going to end up with them. It's maybe not right now. Maybe for a decade, Gemini will be with somebody else. And then a decade from now, Gemini will be with this person. This Gemini is a very different life story, very different life purpose, and very different spin on relationship. Actually, I have to say, out of all the zodiacs, I think Gemini tends to get the most like boundary bending stories on my channel. I never feel like I'll always have like controversial stories sometimes for Geminis, but it always works for them. Just more complicated love stories, but somehow it's okay for the Gemini in a way that, like, it's just never quite like structured, organized, perfect. It's more like, well, you know what? Life is more than one thing, and two things can be true at the same time. And, life is more complex. And I always feel like that's reflected in my Gemini stories more so than any other zodiac. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this one here. Thank you so much for hanging out, you guys. Again, Optimalt, Sweet Dreams, Honey, Clearly Wise, and Nabila, and De-Revitalization. Thanks for being here. All right, you guys, take care. Lots of love. Bye.